Ken Paxton got acquitted. Major victory for Ken Paxton, but most importantly for the America First movement, not just in Texas, but across the country. So Ken Paxton got acquitted. Only two state Republican senators voted with Democrats to actually convict Ken Paxton. Every single other state Republican senator in the state of Texas, they voted to acquit. And the two Republican state senators that voted to convict, those were Nichols and Kelly Hancock. Those two state Republican senators, they're the service for Texas for siding with Democrats, knowing that the evidence was not really there. The impeachment sham that happened and the days that we saw where the witnesses couldn't even sometimes even give a clear answer, or they just admitted that, yeah, we reported to the FBI that, yeah, we reported an allegation, but there was no evidence. The whole impeachment stuff was a huge distraction. I'm glad it's over. I'm glad it's done. It shouldn't even have happened, but unfortunately we live in a political environment where if you support the Trump America First movement, you will be hammered, you will be attacked, and you will be under a witch hunt. And we spent several months fixating on this impeachment sham, wasting our time, wasting taxpayers' money, when we should have been combating the border crisis that we have, where we have illegal aliens crossing the border. We could have had a special session just on that. We could have removed DEI in every single public school in the state of Texas, because DEI was removed in universities. But if you want to destroy DEI, you must actually tackle the root cause of it, and that is the DEI that's in elementary, middle, and high schools. We didn't talk any of that. Instead, we wasted our time on Ken Paxton and saying, hey, Ken Paxton's bad, Ken Paxton's this, we need to remove him, and just fixating on that for several months. Okay? And the two state senators that voted, the Republican state senators that voted to convict Ken Paxton, shame on them, and I hope their primary out. But I'm glad we won. Texas won, America won. And the vast majority of the senators, Bob Hall, State Senator Bob Hall, stated clearly there was not enough evidence. Whether you were for Ken Paxton or not, you have to watch the videos. You have to actually watch how the witnesses did. And most importantly, how the defense team did. Because it is just absurd that we had to sit down and actually watch the circus. So why don't we take a look at one of the stupid videos that actually went viral on Twitter, and it just shows how this impeachment was such a waste of time and taxpayers' money as well. Let's take a look.
Good again, Mr. Vassar, please. I want to get this straight. You went to the FBI on September 30th with your compatriots and reported the elected Attorney General of this state for a crime without any evidence. Yes?
That's right. We took no evidence.
Did I ask it again, Mr.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? You have someone that's admitting that they reported Ken Paxton to the FBI with no evidence whatsoever. This was the type of witnesses that we saw, the type of commentary that we saw in this impeachment trial. And it was basically nothing but all 16 articles of impeachment were destroyed. Okay? The bulk of the Senate Republicans, they voted to acquit because of stuff like this. Because of people that can't even do their job and actually provide evidence. Show us the evidence. Hey, if either of these crimes, these allegations, let's see the evidence. And they couldn't even do the basic stuff. They couldn't even do that. But the fact that you have two Senate Republicans that voted with Democrats to convict Kelly Hancock and Senator Nichols, it's just mind-boggling. I mean, Democrats should have joined, but of course they're never going to join because they want Ken Paxton removed. They see him as a big threat. That's why you had the Bushes and Karl Rove get involved as well. Karl Rove even wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal that the days of Ken Paxton are basically counted. They're basically over. And I guess he's going to have to retract the article, I guess. But the most pathetic response that I have seen from an elected official and especially the Republican elected official, is from Dade Phelan. Dade Phelan released this statement, this press release. I'm actually going to read you a whole paragraph because it is ludicrous that our Speaker of the House for the State Assembly, for State House, decided to make an entire statement, not saying, hey, the whole process worked, we congratulate. No, he attacked the lieutenant governor. He attacked the Senate Republicans that voted to acquit, and he basically attacked the GOP in general. I mean, he's mad in this statement. So let's just read what he basically said. So Dade Phelan said this: over the last 2 weeks, the Texas House Board of Managers provided the Texas Senate and the people of Texas extensive evidence of Ken Paxton's corruption, deception, and self-dealing. I think it's extremely unfortunate that after hearing and evaluating the evidence, the Texas Senate chose not to remove him from office. Moreover, I find it deeply concerning that after weeks of claiming he would preside over the trial in an impartial and honest manner, Lieutenant Governor Patrick would conclude by confessing his bias and placing his contempt for the People's House on full display. To be clear, Patrick attacked the House for standing up against corruption. His tirade disrespects the constitutional impeachment process afforded to us by the founders of this great state. And then he goes on to say, conclusion is that today's outcome appears to have been orchestrated from the start, cheating the people of Texas of justice. No, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, what he did, so after the votes, after Ken Paxton got acquitted, Dan Patrick made a speech, and I think it's probably one of the most important Texas speeches in political history, because he clearly goes after the impeachment sham. And it's a sham because he basically said, how is it possible that the impeachment happened this quickly? The members of the House, they didn't have time. They didn't have 2 weeks or a week or two to actually review what was being alleged, to actually review the documents. It was all done in like less than 2 days. And he mentioned that shouldn't happen. The impeachment process should not be weaponized that quickly for anything small, and especially if there's hardly any evidence. So he was basically condemning the whole process because it happened with no evidence, and it happened in such short notice that it was basically chaotic. So Dade Phelan, of course, is attacking back. And Dade Phelan is the reason why we have Democrat chairs in committees in the state of Texas. You don't see California in some committees with Republican chairs. Like if I go to New York, if I go to Illinois, do you see Republicans in committee chairs? No. But in the state of Texas, for some reason, we must keep the old tradition of allowing the opposition party to have some chairs, some committees. We don't live in a time where it's the 1980s. We don't live in a time where we can have good bipartisanship, because the Democratic Party is now the party that wants to destroy the way of life for Americans, and especially for Christian conservative values and way of life. How can we compromise with people that want to murder your babies? How can we compromise with people that want to take away your guns? How can we compromise with people that literally believe that a man can be a woman and a woman can be a man? Or believe that a child that is 8 years old or 10 years old, they can easily change their sex, but for some reason they're too young to own a firearm, to drive, or anything. But for some reason it's perfectly fine to alter their life and to be permanent patients of the pharmaceutical industry. How can we compromise with that? But Dade Phelan is one of those rare Republicans that believes that we must give them a little piece of the cake. This is a red state, and in the red state, we must govern like a red state. We don't give the other side any political power whatsoever, because if they were in charge, I do not expect Democrats to actually be giving Republicans positions of power altogether, because you're not seeing it in any blue state. You're not. Why should we give them an inch if they would not give us an inch if they were in position of power? Why should we? Dade Phelan's statement, what he's doing right now, is actually dividing the party. The modern Republicans are screaming, oh gosh, this is dividing the party. What Lieutenant Dan Patrick did, all the Ken Paxton supporters are dividing the party because he's a criminal, etc. No, they're the ones that are dividing the party. The modern Republicans, the ones that believe that we must return back to the Bush era, to the Cold War Republicans. They're the ones that are dividing the party, because the party isn't the party of the year 2000 or 1990s. That party is long gone. This is the America First Party. And we need to start acting like it's the America First Party, because it's time we put Texas first and America first. So Dave Phelan, of course, got slammed on Twitter. He got destroyed there. If you go to the comment section, you're going to see all types of comments basically condemning the statement, as they should. I mean, the general public should be condemning his statement, because we wasted several months on nothing, on a nothing burger. That's what this whole process was. It was weaponized to try and get rid of Ken Paxton. And if they had succeeded, if they would have had succeeded in doing that, then don't be surprised they would have gone after Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick or Sid Miller or anyone else. They would have just weaponized it, and the next thing you know, this whole state will not be shifting rightwards. It would have shifted far to the left. Because Dave Phelan's in bed with Democrats. He's in bed with all of them. He should join the Democrat Party. And because of this whole chaos, President Trump and many prominent Republicans or conservative activists, they have called on Dave Phelan to actually step down and resign, and he should resign, because he shouldn't be considered a Republican. He should not. But it's just insane that Dave Phelan is just going this far. I hope he gets primary and he gets removed in 2024. I really do. Same thing goes with the two Senate Republicans that lost their minds and couldn't follow common sense. There's actually a chart that shows how many times they voted with Democrats. I mean, let's just take a look at the charts. So if you look, Bob Hall, no. Brian Hughes, no. Every single other state Republican senator voted no. There was no time where they voted yes. No, they voted all no, because every single impeachment article was garbage. But no. If you look at Kelly Hancock, look how many yeses he has. Look how many yeses he has. It's almost 70% or more that he sided with Democrats to convict. And then let's take a look at Senator Nichols. Almost the same thing. 70% or more with the Democrat Party to convict Ken Paxton. These two state senators have sealed their fates, and they're going to lose in the Republican primary. I hope they lose, because a lot of people are upset with them. But why would they do that? And of course, some people are defending, and they're saying, oh, well, they have principles, and they're okay, enough with that. They should have seen what this whole impeachment was. This whole impeachment was backed by Dave Phelan and his Democrat cronies, by the Bush family, Karl Rove, and to some extent, Biden and the Democrat machine, the globalists. They all wanted to remove, because this was a litmus test. If they remove Ken Paxton, they can go after anyone else, and then next thing you know, this whole state could be compromised. So, lesson learned to the rhinos and to the globalists: your days are numbered, and in Texas, we put Texas first and America first.